One of the biggest struggles project managers face in the engineering world is dealing with scope creep. When a client comes to you and asks for more, but they don't want to pay for more. They want you to do something faster, or they want you to add to the project scope, but they're not willing to give you more time and definitely don't want to give you more money. This is a challenge, especially for less experienced PMs. But in today's engineering management lessons video, I have with me Clint Padgett. Clint is the president and CEO of Project Success Inc. He's also the author of the book, How Teams Triumph: Managing by Commitment. Clint, thanks for spending some time with us here today. Scope creep is tricky. Oftentimes PMs get asked to do more than they're supposed to be doing. How do you deal with it, or how would you recommend that PMs deal with this challenge that we all deal with in the world of project management?
So I think for me, maybe it is being a one-time project, and I don't know, but for me, I'm lucky enough to have repeat business, but I think customers are going to do that, right? It's in their best interest to ask you for something for free. And it's my job to say, look, I didn't sandbag you. I didn't inflate this to handle questions like this. So if you really need this, and I'm going to have to drop something else, and I can go back and tell you what the least risky thing to drop is, but I didn't build extra money into this to handle additional items. And if that's how you want to do it, then next time I'll do that. I'll add extra over and above to handle these one-offs. And of course they don't want that. So to me, I think people are okay if you tell them, if you have the honest conversation up front about what can and can't be done. And if they want something different, then if you can articulate why it can't be done. I can give you an example. I'll try to obfuscate the name of the company because they're still the client, but we're doing this project in Atlanta. I was doing this has been deemed 20 years ago. It's a while back now, but they wanted to be the first major network to have all their programming available in high definition. We're planning the project in April, and they wanted it to be in November. They wanted to go live in November with all HD programming. That's a pretty big project because you have to change the technology on your trucks, the cameras, the feeds and edits that come into the facility. And I mean, it's massive. And so we sat down with the team, and after 3 days, we realized that we could not give them all the different studios by November. In fact, we could get none of them done by November. But we had a plan. We had the critical path that showed why it couldn't be done. And we went back and we said, look, we know you want November. We can't give you November, and here's why it can't be November. Here's what it could be. It could be April. We can give you one studio in January, one in February, and everything will be done by April, and here's why. And they asked some good questions. They said, look, what if we gave you more people? And we said, it's not a people issue. It's a technology issue. The equipment we need is in short supply because it's new, and there are other people in front of us in the line, and we can't get there. They said, it's a money thing. Here's money. Go see if you can buy the spot. And so the team went to try to purchase, said to the people in front, hey, can we buy your spot? And they said, no, go to the back of the line. But in the end, this client was able to say, all right, well, we know that we wanted November, but we can see why it can't be, and it has to be April. And while that wasn't our first choice, we accept it, and that ended up being a successful project. So to me, I think to answer it was a very long-winded answer to your question, but I think if a client asks you for something that's unreasonable or additional, over and above, and for no money, then just say, here's what it is, here's what it costs. I'm going to have to find this somewhere else. What do you want me to drop? And just have these open conversations.
Yeah, I think it's a great answer. And I think it's in a lot of those less experienced project managers, it's tough because, right, you're not confident enough yet maybe to push back with a client. But I think the one way to think about this is if someone asks you to do 10 things for $100,000 and then they ask you to do an 11th, to Clint's point earlier, you either have to say, listen, we're going to need to add $10,000 or we need to take one of the 10 out to do the other one, right? So, you can't just say yes, sir, yes, ma'am to everybody that asks you in project management because it will really sink your projects financially. And I think, Clint's second point, which is important, is it's a lot better to just say no to someone than to say no and explain the rationale behind it of why we can't make it. It's the technology, or we're in line and we have a certain number, so that your client understands that you're doing your best and you're trying to get it done for them, but there are real reasons that you can't do it. It's not just you just don't want to do it. It's because, and you give them the reasons. And in Clint's example was good because they tried to say, okay, here's more people, here's more money, but that wasn't really going to solve the problem. By talking through it, I think they have a lot more respect for you. And in our industry, you thrive on repeat business. So when you handle something like this, you build up a good relationship with that client. And then when they come back next time, they're going to say, you know what? Clint's company wasn't able to hit the deadline, but we knew why. And they worked with us to still get it done in a timely fashion. We would go and hire them again. And that's really important.
I think that what's better? Is it better to say yes today and then deliver poor quality in the back end because the money didn't go up? So now you got to make do with the money you have. So you're going to have to shortcut something, or you take a hit on it financially and then you lose money on the project, which means you don't stay in business. So your choice is to say yes up front, hoping to get it to work, which it won't, and then deliver poor quality on the back end. Or you say no up front, here's why we can't do it, and then negotiate what can be done. And maybe you won't get all the money you'd hope for, but you get enough to make, so that breaks even, you still make money on the overall project. And then I think the other point that you made is, yeah, that client may come back and say, they didn't really deliver everything I wanted them to, but they were open and honest up front with me, as opposed to Joe's company. And with Joe's company, they always say yes up front. They don't always hit the date with what I want on the back end. And so I'd rather have the honest guy up front going, I cannot do that, here's what I can do and deliver, than the guy who says, yeah, we can make that work, and then they don't.
Great stuff there from Clint. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you liked it, please subscribe to our channel here. We put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better project managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.